Hello everyone and welcome to Music Studio 60. My name's Hayley, the founder and director of Music Studio 60, and today, as I mentioned in my short little live video earlier on, I'm going to be doing a little episode about the basic building blocks of Braille music. Now, just a little precursor to all of this, this is actually my very first live video that I've produced myself. So I'd really love your feedback. If there's anything from a visual perspective, obviously me not having my sight, it's a little bit harder for me to sort of be able to tell what's going on with the video camera. So if you can let me know that in some of the comments, that would be absolutely fantastic. Of course, this will be available for you to view afterwards as well. It'll be up on the Facebook Live here for a while. But today I'm actually going to take you through some steps about understanding Braille music and understanding the basic building blocks, because we need to understand these basic building blocks before we actually can dive even deeper into what Braille music is all about. So I have some notes here, and they're actually in Braille, would you believe it or not, so that I can actually remember and follow a bit of a script on what we're going to be talking about this afternoon. So, what is Braille? Well, Braille is basically a code. It's basically a code made up of a number of dots to form letters and words. And of course, then with these letters and words, we create sentences. So Braille is something that a person who has a vision impairment is able to use to communicate with the world. So in other words, basically we can read and write just like everybody else. It allows us to study, it allows us to work, it allows us to interact with everyday life, basically, because being able to read and write is certainly an essential part of our everyday life. So Braille is something that is really quite important for someone with a vision impairment because it really opens the door for so many things. Now, we also have Braille music, which is specific for musicians and singers, entertainers, performers who play whatever instrument, whether it's violin, piano, guitar, whatever it might be, to be able to play those instruments, but to be able to read the music so that we can get an understanding of the musicality behind what we're playing. And so we can read the music and perform on stage just like everybody else. So that's why we have Braille music. Now, what I wanted to do today was actually take you through some basics of Braille music. Now, how we're going to do this is we're going to break it down into 4 sections. So each section is going to represent a rhythmical value. Now, what do I mean by rhythmical values? Okay, in music we have what's called rhythm. So rhythm is kind of like the driving force. It kind of gets you going. You know, when you sort of hear a really upbeat sort of feel to a piece of music, it's got a fairly upbeat rhythm, you want to dance. That's kind of what rhythm does. Or if it's a really, really slow, gentle, flowing sort of feel, that's what, you know, you're going to feel that rhythm in a slow, gentle flow. But there are components from a musical perspective that make up rhythm, and I'm going to look at some of them today. And so they are quavers, crotchets, minims, and we also have semiquavers. Now, just a little bit of a theory background. So, crotchets are also known as quarter notes. So, what I mean by quarter notes, so say if you have a bar of music and it's in 4/4 time, you're going to have 4 crotchets in a bar because there's 4 quarters equals 1 bar. So, kind of think of it a bit mathematically here. So, you have 4 crotchets. So, to do it this way, if you've got a bar of 4/4 times, so we count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 4 crotchets, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now, quavers are known as 8th notes, okay? So depending on what system, we either call them quavers or we call them 8th notes. So quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So they're quavers, okay? So we have your crotchets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and your quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we have semiquavers. Now, semiquavers, I'll just make sure that I'm actually on front of the microphone. We have semiquavers. So they're also called 16th notes, okay? So it goes like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, so they're semiquavers, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So in a bar of 4/4, we have crotchets, 1, 2, 3, 4, or known as quarter notes. And when we write 4/4, we write 4/4. Okay, when we write the time signature. Then we have our quavers, which are also 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and semiquavers. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, then the other one we're going to look at is minims. So minims are called half notes. So in a bar of 4/4, you would have 2 minutes because a minim equals 2 crotchets. So minims are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have 2. So that's minims. We have minims, crotchets, quavers, semiquavers. And we also have a semibreve. So a semibreve is just a whole bar. Yeah? So you have the whole bar is just boom, one long note. Okay, now why am I explaining this? Well, in Braille, to get an understanding, we're going to use this rhythmic system to be able to understand some of the basic notes, some of the basic keys. Now, I'm going to put a piece of Braille paper. So this is Braille paper, and I'm going to actually put that in the Braille machine. Now, we don't normally use Braille machines these days because it's all computerized. But for the purposes of this exercise, I've actually found a Braille machine that I had when I was a little girl. And this is what I learnt on when I first learnt Braille many years ago. So I'm going to wind this in. It's going to wind in. Now we're going to go down like that. Okay, so that sets us up. That gets us ready to do it. Okay, so this is a really big old Braille machine that, yes, it's been really well used, shall we say. But sometimes, even if I don't want to use a computer, I will still resort back to this and actually use this Braille machine to be able to press the keys when I'm writing some basic music. And I'm going to actually show you a little bit later how I actually write music. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at the dots. So now, if you have a piece of paper or a pencil or a pen or something, you can draw a little diagram to help you. Now, one of the things I like to do with learning about Braille is when I'm showing students who are learning Braille music or Braille is we start by looking at the fingers, okay? So this hand here is 1, 2 and 3. That's your left hand. And this hand here, that's my left hand. It's probably mirror to you. But the right hand is 4, 5 and 6. So what this is basically a combination. We're using 6 dots, and we use a combination of those 6 dots to make up the notes. So we're going to look at the C quaver, okay, when we're doing music. So this is the note C, La, Do. We often call it Do as well, so that's the note C. Now, I'm going to look at the quavers first. Now, do you remember I said that the quavers are the 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So, in a 4/4 bar. Okay, so why I'm doing this is because there's a particular Braille pattern that we use that stems from the quavers. It's a little bit different in print music, and I'm not going to go into the comparisons between print and Braille music today. That's a whole separate separate lesson. But today I'm just going to look at what we call these basic building blocks. So a quaver. Now, a C quaver, okay, a C quaver is going to be dots 1, dots 4, and dots 5. Now remember, 1, 2 and 3 are on this side, 4, 5 and 6 are on that side. So if you want to draw a little diagram, you've got that there. So it's dot 1, dot 4 and dot 5. I'm going to press that down and I've just written a C quaver. Okay? Now, I want to make it a crotchet. I don't want to have quavers in my music all the time, because the quavers, you know, we want to make it a little bit more interesting than just quavers. So if I wanted to make it a C crotchet instead of a C quaver, I'm going to use that quaver, okay, so dots 1, 4 and 5, but I'm actually going to add a dot 6, okay. So for all crotchets, we have the basic fundamental keys that we use, and then we add a dot 6, and that's going to create a C crotchet, okay. So that's quavers and crotchets. So say if we were to write a bar of music, so we're going to go into 4/4 time. I'm going to write a bar of 4/4 time music, okay, right here. So I'll just write the time signature. Don't worry about that for now. We're in C major, so we don't have any sharps or flats, okay. I'm going to write it all on C. So here we go. So I'm going to go C quaver, C quaver. Okay, so we've got 2 C quavers. Okay, we've got 3 beats left in the bar that we need to fill. So we're using crotchets and quavers. I'm going to do crotchet, C crotchet, that is. I'm going to do another C crotchet, which remember is the quaver symbol, but we're adding the dot 6. So quaver, quaver, crotchet, crotchet. I need one more. All right, I'm going to do 2 quavers just for fun. Okay, so we've got da, 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 da. Ti, ti, ta, ta, ti, ti, yeah? So that's what it is, okay? So that's a bar. I've just written a bar of music all on C, which is a little bit boring. It's not very melodic, is it? But, okay? So that's your crotchets and your quavers. Now, the next one that I'm going to talk about, we talked about earlier, are the minims. Now, we use the quaver, dots 1, 4, 5. We're going to focus on C today. We're not going to worry about any of the other notes. So we're going to do 1, 4 and 5. Now instead of adding a dot 6, which is what we did for the crotchet, we're going to add a dot 3 instead, and that's going to create a minim. Okay, so we've got the C minim, adding the dot 3. Now remember, minims are half notes. 1, 2. So if we had C minim, it would be. Okay, so remember you have 2 C minims in a 4/4 bar. Okay, so in Braille it's dots 1, 4, 5, which is the quaver, and we add dot 3. Now I talked about semiquavers before. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, so with the semiquaver we have the same dot, so we're just focusing on C, dots 1, 4, 5, but now we're going to add both dots 3 and 6 to make the semiquaver. So that makes a C semiquaver. Okay, so if we had a whole bar of semiquavers, it'd be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a bit sort of monotonous, a bit boring. So with the minims and the semiquavers we're adding in, I could create a rhythm here. So what shall we do? Okay, I'm going to do 4/4 time. So I'll just go across to make the 4/4 time. 4/4 time. Now we're going to do. So I'm writing it on middle C. Okay, I'm not going to go into all how we determine what part of the notes we're on. That's for some other time. But this is just generally the basic structure. So let's write a piece of music all on C. Okay, so let's start with. I think. What am I going to start with? I'll start with a C crotchet. Now I've put a little sign so that I know whereabouts on the musical staff this is, but I'm not going to show you that today. So I've got a C crotchet, so that's dots 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then I think I might have, what am I going to use? I'm going to be a bit boring actually. I'm going to use a minim. Now you don't normally, I probably wouldn't usually write it like this. You know, groupings and things like that are also very important, but just for now, I'm just going to make something up. Okay, so then we've got a minim, so I'm going to put a minim. So that's 1, 4, 5. the quaver, and it's dot 3. Okay, now I'm going to be a little bit crazy with this. So with the last beat, so it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got 3 beats. We've got minim, which is 2 crotchets, and we've got a crotchet. So for the last beat, now I could either use another crotchet, which would make it 4, or I could do 2 quavers, or I could do, what can we do? Let's try 4 semiquavers. Dut, 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 dut. Now, I probably would not write a piece of music like that, but just for the purposes of this, it's going to be 1, 4, 5, and 3 and 6. Okay, so they are just some of the very, very basics around Braille music. If you'd like to learn more about Braille music from me, then feel free to check out Music Studio 60. I also have a Musician Hayley page on Twitter. I have Music Studio 60 Instagram page and also a Hayley Facebook page. I have quite a few social media pages. Music Studio 60 is the educational side of things, I guess, and Hayley is the artist side of things, does all the writing of the music and playing the songs and things like that. I hope you've really enjoyed today. I certainly have. It's been great to show you just a little bit of the ins and outs of Braille music. Of course, there's so much more. If you'd love to learn, I'd love to hear from you. I do some training courses. I have lessons available, both online, definitely online, and of course, if necessary, we can meet face to face. But at the moment, of course, I am kind of focusing a little bit more online because I can, it's obviously an interesting time at the moment in the world, but really would love you to reach out to me, and all the information about lessons are available on also the website musicstudio60.com.au. Hey, thanks very much, everybody, and I'm certainly going to do some more of these live videos about different topics, all sorts of topics. But thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.